What's going on, everyone? It's Brad here. Today I'm going to go over the basics of knife safety. Okay, a couple things you guys are going to want to know before you really go into using a blade is the way to hold it. This is a very common grip right here. This is known as just a hammer grip. You can also do a reverse hammer grip with some techniques. Another really nice grip you're going to want to know is the saber grip. This is the same as a hammer grip, but instead of holding the knife like this, you're putting your thumb up onto the spine or onto the side of the blade, depending on the way you're holding it, to add a little bit more support. It's a little bit more of a choke up. It's a little bit easier to prevent slipping with some techniques if you're holding it like that. So now that that's covered, those are just a couple simple ways to hold it. We're going to go ahead and go over the safety and the actual techniques of using a knife. All right, so the first thing I want to share with you guys is what a safety circle is. And basically, if you have your knife out in your hand, and don't do this, this is dangerous, but I mean, just like kind of a general idea, if somebody is in that range, that's your slip zone. If you're carving wood and it skips off the grain and somebody happens to be walking by wherever you are, I mean, they could get really hurt, and you want to make sure that nobody is in that safety circle or bubble or whatever you want to call it. Keep them out of your bubble. You need your own bubble. So the next thing I want to show you guys is the triangle of death. This is the next thing we learned. Basically, this is your triangle of death. This is a very common position to be crouched in. You know, anything with your legs apart, it gives you more support on the ground, and it's a very common position to be in when you're crouching in the woods, or even sitting for that matter, on a bench. And if you're carving like this and your knife slips, your femoral arteries run right through your legs here, and you could really do some devastating damage here, so you don't want to be carving right there. A good way to avoid cutting yourself is to just simply move over and carve over here. And a good technique is to move the wood and not the knife. Keep the knife in a stable position, and there's less chance for slippage, because if you slip, it's just the wood that's slipping. All right, so the first technique I'm going to be utilizing is known as a chest lever technique. I've heard some other names that I can't remember, but basically what it is, you're going to be locking your elbows up tight, and then you're going to be putting your arms right where your wrists are, up against your chest. You're going to keep yourself tight here. Your knife isn't going to move a whole lot. A lot of the motion is going to be in the wood, but you are going to follow through with the knife towards the end of the blow. This is good for like bull nosing, or if you're going to be carving tent stakes. All right, so back to the triangle of death technique. If you're going to be down in that stance and you're going to be carving over here, it's good technique to kind of lock your arms straight. That way, if you need to, you can kind of push down with your shoulder and get your whole body weight going down onto your piece. But you can also just pull the wood, and it's a lot safer because your knife is stationary. It's not actually moving. So if you end up slipping at all, it's going to be your material that slips, not your sharp blade. And another thing, as far as sharp blades and knife safety, keeping a knife sharp is extremely important. A dull knife will still cut you, but it's also most likely to kind of stick into the wood and slip out and not actually cut. And you basically are more likely to cut yourself with a dull knife because it'll skip off the wood, when a sharp knife will just cut through and do the task you want it to do and go where you want it to. All right, so I've covered a lot of basic tips as far as the way to grip the knife, the ways to actually cut the knife, safe techniques, things like that. One more thing I'm going to leave you with is properly handing a knife over to somebody else, which is one of the things that I see improperly done the most. First off, if it's a folding knife, this one's pretty simple. Close the knife before you hand it to someone. So many times I see people just hand folding knives over to people, even if they hand it over like handle first, which is one of the proper techniques with a fixed blade. It's like, why not just close it and hand it to them? It's a lot safer. When you're handing over a fixed blade, there are a few different ways you could do this that are a lot safer than just handing it to them like this. One of the ways that I learned in Boy Scouts was to grab the back of the knife, blade facing up, so I'm not touching the blade, and hand them the handle. That's an alright way to do it. It's a lot safer than handing it like this. Another way I've learned in the past few years is to keep your hand on the actual handle but to just turn it like this. That way nobody's actually touching any part of the blade at all. Everyone's hands are on the handle. Might be a little bit more difficult to do it this way with a tiny little knife, maybe a small hunting knife. But a mid to large size fixed blade, that's definitely going to be the safest way to hand over a knife. So I'm going to leave you guys with this. This is just kind of a quick rundown of safe techniques and stuff with the knives. So thanks you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.